Okay. Good morning and welcome. My name is Oreen Chowdhury, and I'm the chair of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee. Before we convene our meeting, we have a presentation of 2 honorary resolutions, and we're pleased to welcome our guests to the space and share in this presentation before taking up our agenda. The first honorary resolution today is recognizing Representative Frank Hornstein, and the second honorary resolution today is recognizing Representative Hodan Hassan. As the author, I'll invite my fellow colleagues who'd like to join me and our guests for the presentation.
Yeah, one after the other.
Oh, you got the leg. Come on over. Okay. Yeah, we have you on this side.
Okay.
And Frank, you want to come right over here on this side?
We can have some more folks.
Yeah, why don't you come down over here? Welcome. Okay, well, thank you everyone for being here. We'll start with the resolution honoring the service and career of Representative Frank Hornstein. Whereas Representative Frank Hornstein has diligently served the residents of Minneapolis and the people of Minnesota as a member of the Minnesota legislature for 22 years. And whereas Hornstein announced in February of 2024 that he would not seek re-election to the Minnesota House of Representatives, District 61A. And whereas Hornstein has been a great friend to the city of Minneapolis and a powerful advocate for all of his constituents. And whereas Hornstein has an unparalleled impact on transportation and infrastructure in our city, region, and state. And whereas Hornstein's advocacy was integral to secure the historic 2008 transportation bill following the Interstate 35W bridge collapse, a bill which provided much needed investment in roads, bridges, and public transit, impacting all Minnesotans. Whereas the 2023 transportation bill was a result of Hornstein's decades of advocacy and dedication and will fix roads and bridges, improve the environment, and create jobs. Whereas the 2023 transportation bill is transformative for transit in the metro area and provides sustainable funding for more transit, more frequent service, and better bus shelters. And whereas Hornstein's contributions to build the transit network include fostering the urban-suburban partnership, resulting in the Orange Line, the region's first highway bus rapid transit line. And whereas Hornstein is an advocate for multimodal transportation, and its contributions have resulted in better conditions for walking, biking, and has improved mobility for users of all ages and abilities. And would you like to take these?
Whereas Hornstein's diligent efforts contributed to a ban on texting while driving and hands-free cell phone bill, which will improve safety for all roadway users and prevent injury and death. And whereas Hornstein has been a strong advocate for rail safety, fighting for adequate staffing of key roles, improved emergency preparedness and agency communication, and empowered and informed residents. And whereas Hornstein has always ensured that his constituents' voices are heard, including during the execution of large, complex projects like construction of the Green Line extension. And whereas Hornstein has been a guardian for the environment and champion of climate justice, leading efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, improve food waste management, increase recycling, and elevate composting. And whereas Hornstein is an advocate for parks and open spaces and championed the park dedication fee, now known as the Dibble-Hornstein Park Dedication Fee, which will preserve and grow this valuable resource. And whereas Hornstein brought the heart and strategy of an organizer to his work as a public servant and has been inspired by the life and legacy of Senator Paul Wellstone. And whereas Hornstein has carried on in Wellstone's tradition and is a courageous champion for progressive causes who reach across the aisle. Whereas Hornstein stands up for the little guy and has been a steadfast advocate for workers' rights and a defender of human rights for all. And whereas Hornstein has been an unwavering defender of civil and human rights and has led the fight against Islamophobia, homophobia, anti-Semitism, anti-immigration hate, and transphobia. And whereas Hornstein does an incredible impression of Bob Dylan, and whereas Hornstein extends kindness and compassion to others and is respected, appreciated, and admired by many. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council in the City of Minneapolis that the Mayor and City Council hereby commemorate the achievements of Representative Hornstein, express our immense gratitude on behalf of the city and our residents, and wish Representative Hornstein well in his future endeavors. Frank, we're presenting this to you. Well, Councilmember Chowdhury's hands were full here because your impact has been so much larger than the community in which we both live. And it really is felt citywide and beyond. I met you when you were walking your dog, Charlie, and now I have a son, Charlie, and I didn't even know my state representative, and I always wondered, why is that guy always on the phone when he's walking his dog? Then I came to know, and he's like talking to others in rapid pace fashion on his flip phone at the time, and going through as many voicemails. I remember him saying it was probably to Scott Dibble that my voicemail's full. It's been like this for 3 days, during sessions and difficult parts. But it is in part because you worked so hard to have this very much larger impact on the world than just the district that you represented. So.
Thank you. Do you mind if we go right to Representative Hassan, and then we'll go back to both of you? Okay, Representative Hassan, honoring the service and career of Representative Hodan Hassan. Whereas Representative Hodan Hassan has diligently served the residents of Minneapolis and the people of Minnesota as a member of the Minnesota State Legislature for 6 years. And whereas Hassan is the second Somali American woman to serve in the Minnesota House of Representatives, one of the Muslim Americans serving in the Minnesota House of Representatives, serving as a beacon of hope and achievement to thousands of Somalis statewide. And whereas Hassan announced February of 2024 that she would not seek re-election for the Minnesota House of Representatives in District 62B. And whereas Hassan has been a great friend to the city of Minneapolis and a powerful advocate for her constituents. And whereas Hassan has dutifully represented the most diverse House district in the city of Minneapolis and has consistently led with the voices of people she represents. And whereas Hassan has had significant impact on our economic development, workforce development, and education in our city, state, and region. Whereas Hassan has served as the chair of the House Economic Development, Finance, and Policy Committee since 2023. And whereas Hassan championed efforts like the Promised Act to invest in small businesses in specific areas of need around the metro. And whereas Hassan advocated for the requirement of personal finance classes in Minnesota's high schools and worked to strengthen the Teachers of Color Act. And whereas Hassan worked tirelessly with her colleagues, the city of Minneapolis, and all the stakeholders to lead the effort and successfully pass one of the strongest rideshare drivers protection policies in the nation. And whereas Hassan is a member of the People of Color and Indigenous Posse Caucus and the Black Maternal Health Caucus and the Reproductive Freedom Caucus. Whereas Hassan fiercely fights against racism, sexism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and homophobia, and has put equity at the center of her work. And whereas Hassan consistently demonstrates a great sense of fashion and style, and has exemplified the strength of being both a legislator and a great mother. And whereas Hassan extends the kindness and compassion to others and is respected and appreciated and admired by not just her colleagues, but legislative staff, advocates, and her residents. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Minneapolis that the Mayor and City Council hereby commemorate the achievements of Representative Hassan, express immense gratitude on behalf of the city and our residents, and wishes Representative Hassan well in her post-legislative chapter. Thank you so much for serving our city and serving our state. I remember when you first decided that you were going to run for office. As a young Muslim woman myself, it was really powerful to see you step up in leadership and be a mentor to so many, but also just be someone that showed up so deeply for the South Side of Minneapolis. A lot of people's voices in our communities were not showing up at the Capitol, and you made sure day one that they would. And I know that there are many council members up here who have really deeply admired the work that you have done and the way that you really fought for Uber and Lyft drivers so hard last legislative session. That was a massive feat, and you did an amazing job bringing together so many of us. So I thank you so much for your service. I thank you so much for coming down to City Hall, and this is just a little bit of a small memento that we can give you for the years of service that you've given to us. I will offer it up to either of the representatives to say a few words. Representative Hornstein.
Thank you. Well, I am so deeply moved and honored by this moment, and thank you so much, Councilmember Chardy, for your words, and Councilmember Palmisano, and so many people here that I call friends, good friends. I was just reflecting about this day, and one of my main mentors when I first started was the IGR lead for the city of Minneapolis, a man named Gene Ranieri. And he was legendary at the Capitol, bringing the voice of Minneapolis and really mentoring so many legislators and how to do the work. And ever since then, we've had this incredible partnership between the city and this legislative delegation. And I'm so confident with our new leaders in the legislature and the leadership at City Hall that this will continue. We've done some really amazing things together. And even navigated some difficult issues together. And I appreciate, again, one of my main mentors, Speaker Anderson Kelleher, for all of her work over so many years. I think really paved the way for this incredible collaboration that we have between the city and the state. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is so meaningful, and I just so deeply appreciate it.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting us to this space and honoring the work that Frank and I have done. Frank has done it way longer than I have, but I just want to say thank you. This work is hard. It's complex, it's complicated, but we do it because we love our communities and we love Minneapolis. I know that Minneapolis sometimes gets bad rep at the state legislature because I have heard it many times, people echo in those chambers that the troublemaking Minneapolis, but I was always proud to stand up for the people of Minneapolis, the people of South Minneapolis, and be a representative that isn't afraid to take the challenge that comes with representing a city that's diverse, that has challenges, but also has beautiful opportunities for everyone. So thank you.
Would anyone else like to say a few words? Okay, Councilmember Ellison.
Thank you both. Frank, I've known you a long time, and your leadership, your example of leadership to folks like myself coming up, wanting to represent sort of our half of the city over here. I know in this last redistricting, you picked up a little bit of North Minneapolis, but you've always just been an ally to North Minneapolis as well. And when I think about the type of leadership you've demonstrated as an environmental justice advocate, as an interfaith advocate, you really do embody the very concept of solidarity. And I think that, that example in our politics is just so lacking these days. That's why we are going to miss you as a city. And I think that it's sort of our honor. Like, we're here honoring you, but it's sort of our honor to be able to give you your flowers in this moment. And so thank you for allowing us the space to do that. And I kind of regret that Lisa Goodman's not here. I feel like she's the only one who could do you full justice and knew you like long enough and well enough. But I hope that you can feel the appreciation, the admiration, and the love that you're getting up here. So, thank you. And Hodan, thank you as well. But I don't want to speak too long, so I'll let somebody else go.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much, both of you. Hodan, thank you. I think I don't know how many times I say Hodan is a role model to us, to me especially, and to many young East African community. Being a new immigrant, she has shown that leadership. We think that she has all the answers, so all the community contact her for every issue you can imagine. And, you inspired many young Somali women, and I really appreciate your commitment. I know it's not easy having a young child, having a family at the same time, being a legislative, it's not easy. So I really want to take the time, and community members have shown again and again and again that they appreciate you and the work you have done. So thank you. If you guys want to add anything else. Freya, I'll pick you.
Assalamu alaikum, Hodan, my sister. I look up to you. You are a great role model for me and for so many other young women. You stepped into an uncomfortable space and you did it. You made it happen. And you paved the way for so many other young people to advocate for the needs that are really important to their communities. So I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you, council members, for honoring. This is an amazing opportunity because she deserves it. She made it happen. So I just want to say thank you so much.
I want to say thank you for both. Reverend Hornstein, when I was a rookie advocate at the legislature, you always had a smile on your face, even when I was burning bridges. Thank you for allowing me to be who I am and always showed up for us. Hodan, you came in out of nowhere. Sometimes you act as a therapist because you are a social worker. Thank you for letting me lean on you and providing a trusted space. That's what we lack. Majority of our PIPACs is a consistent friend. The way that we're helping our families out of poverty is a long journey. People before us started. You're continuing the journey along with everyone else here. I have immense respect and admiration for you. You just started the work. You're not going anywhere. So thank you.
Well, thank you for letting me say something. Thank you both for your service. It is such an honor that you both served in the Minnesota legislature, in the House, which is a rodeo of a place to serve on any given day. And the way you did it with grace and led and brought your intellect and your compassion. I want to particularly say to Representative Hornstein, to Chair Hornstein, my dear friend, we have been on a journey for a long time, and the people of Minnesota really owe you a great debt of gratitude. Everything that was said in that resolution is true, everything from transportation to environmental justice. But the thing that sticks with me most about you is you do have that heart of an organizer. We both really had that deep friendship with Paul Wellstone that drove our being forward and still touches us today. But what's special is you've made it your own. And what I want to say is that I think the beauty of Frank Hornstein is, as mad as he could get on the floor or upset as he was, he usually did smile, but he also would do something else. And that is, he always wanted to resolve any conflict. And Frank would invite people out to have a coffee or to have a meal together, to be able to try to understand. You would go to people's districts, faraway districts, people who, really were like, oh, you're a Minneapolis DFLer? And you'd be like, yes, I am. And I'm here to learn about your representative's district. That's a lesson we all could have more of, to take the coffee, to have the meal, to sit down, to break bread together, and to really learn to understand and listen to each other. You did that beautifully, and I want to thank both of you for all of your service. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you to both of you. I want to thank you on behalf of the public health advocates. You all were superheroes when it came to anti-tobacco work. I remember my first tour of the Capitol with Natalie Johnson Lee, the busybody herself, just walking me around and taking me to your office, Representative Hornstein, and talking through freedom to breathe. And that probably was like in 2005 or 2006. And so thank you so much for the hard work on that. And Representative Hassan, you came in just full force supporting all of our public health issues around anti-tobacco work, like Tobacco 21 and kids in cars. It didn't make it, but we worked on it. And I appreciate all the work that both of you have done. I know a lot of public health advocates would have been here today to celebrate you, and they'll continue to celebrate you. But thank you so much for always protecting our kids. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much both for being here and your service. I'll just close off by saying one thing that both of you share and that I've experienced over the years is you're always willing to pick up the phone when people are in need. I remember when it was the height of the COVID-19 pandemic and the uprisings following the murder of George Floyd, like you both were one of my first phone calls to connect to people in community. And as a person who started off in organizing, an organizer at heart, you've always bet on the grassroots, you've always bet on the underdog, and you've always believed in people-centered leadership and working people in our communities. And just thank you so much for joining us on our last IGR meeting. It's a perfect way to close off the year, and it's not goodbye, it's see you later. And we're going to just take a couple photos. We'll do a big group photo together, and then we'd love to do some separate with each of you. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Yeah.
We have to be between these lines. Yes. Okay, so you both come up in front. All right. Council members, at this time, I'm going to call to order our regular meeting for Tuesday, December 3rd. Before we begin the meeting, I want to offer a friendly reminder to all committee members, staff, and the public that these meetings are broadcast live to enable greater public participation. These broadcasts include real-time captioning as a further method to increase the accessibility of our proceedings to the community. Therefore, all speakers need to be mindful of the rate of their speech so that our captioners can fully capture and transcribe all comments for the broadcast. We ask that all speakers moderate the speed and clarity of their comments. I'll now have the clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Payne. Present. Wansley.
Present.
Vita.
Present.
Ellison.
Here.
Osman is absent. Cashman is absent. Jenkins is absent. Chavez. Present. Chuktai.
Present.
Koski.
Present.
Palmisano.
Present.
Vice Chair Rainville.
Present.
Chair Chowdhury.
Present.
We have 10 present.
Let the record reflect that we have a quorum. I'll also remind my colleagues that we are using speaker management today, so please use this time to sign in. Our first two agenda items are the honorary resolutions we just presented on. I'll now move approval of those resolutions and ask all those in favor to say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. That motion carries. Our next item of business is on the consent agenda, which I'll now read for the record. Number 3 is authorizing contracts with Frederickson Government Relations, LLC, and Momentum Advocacy for legislation representation services, and filing the related conflicts review report. Number 4 is authorizing a contract amendment with Primacy Group, LLC, for legislation representation services, and filing the related conflict review report. Is there any discussion on any of these items? Okay. Seeing no further discussion, I'll move approval of the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and that motion carries. Now, our next item is the approval of the 2025 policy positions document. Our intergovernmental relations team has prepared a presentation, and I will now invite Director Katie Topinka to introduce herself and get us started.
Thank you, Chair Chowdhury and council members. I'm pleased to be here to present the 2025 legislative agenda and policy positions. And also just want to thank you all for the work we've done together throughout the fall to get us to this point today. So I'm going to start with just a brief recap of the election results related to the state legislature. So in the state Senate, there was a special election in Senate District 45, and Ann Johnson Stewart won that race. So the Senate DFL will retain its one-seat majority, and they have met since the election to affirm their leadership. So it will continue to be Senator Erin Murphy as the majority leader. Senator Bobby Joe Champion from Minneapolis will continue to be the Senate president, and then the Senate minority leader will continue to be Senator Mark Johnson from East Grand Forks. On the House side, the House results are that there will be a tie, a 67-67 tie between the DFL and Republican members. There are 2 recounts that have occurred, and one of those is headed to court, so we'll obviously continue to watch that, but our expectation is that there will be a tie in the House. And the DFL and Republican caucuses did meet to select their leaders, so the DFL leader will continue to be Melissa Hortman, and the GOP leader will continue to be Lisa Damuth. Leaders Hortman and Damuth announced a committee co-chair structure, so all of the committees in the House will be co-chaired by one Democrat and one Republican. And there are a number of Minneapolis delegation members who are announced as co-chairs. So most of these on the slide here were already chairs of these committees in the last 2 years, with the exception of Representative Sydney Jordan, who is announced as a new co-chair for education policy. So we're grateful to continue to have so many Minneapolis delegation members in these key roles going into the session. And then with that, I'll turn to the legislative agenda and policy positions document, which is before you today. As just to recap, kind of how we get to the version that you're considering, we have a process throughout the summer and fall where departments bring forward ideas of new items to add to our policy positions. We also met with all of the council members and grateful for the time you gave us to hear your priorities and incorporated many of those into the document today. And then also the mayor's office certainly reviews and gives input on it as well. And that gets us to the draft that we bring forward for your approval today. We have the longer document, which we refer to as the policy positions. That document represents positions that the city has taken on a wide variety of issues that may come before the legislature. This helps guide our team, the IGR team, when we're at the Capitol for knowing what the city's position is on a given topic that may come up. So it's not necessarily things the city is proactively trying to move through at the Capitol, but it's things that we know will arise, things that we're interested in and know it's important to have a policy position on. And that document is updated year to year. You have a marked up version and a clean version. The markups, some of them are things like language cleanup. Some of it is things that happened last session that we are recommending deleting. And then some of it is things that have maybe moved from the legislative agenda down to the policy positions document. The legislative agenda is the things that we anticipate our team will be most proactively focused on during the session, either bringing bills or really actively supporting efforts that we know others are bringing forward. And so I'm going to focus focus mostly on the legislative agenda for this presentation. And I'll start with our capital investment priorities. So the first three priorities are carry forwards from last year, as well as you'll note on the bottom, the $5.7 million toward the community purchase of the roof depot site for an urban farm. These are the Nicollet Avenue Bridge was our top ask last year. You will notice the number is much, much smaller, thankfully, because we received a large federal grant. And so we do still have a small gap, and so this continues to be on our list for the state, but asking for $2 million rather than $44 million, which is really nice to be able to make that change. We also still have on our list structural renewal of the 36-inch water main. This is a water main that runs from North Minneapolis to downtown. You'll recall a couple of years ago, there was a burst in that water main. There was a brief boil water advisory, and this would allow the city to repair that entire water main all at once and do it more efficiently and more efficiently, both from a financial perspective and a construction perspective. So $12.36 million is the ask there. That has gone up a little bit since last year. We continue to have an ask for the ADA transition plan, which is the ramp and sidewalk upgrades for ADA compliance. We have that ask in another place as well, which I'll highlight shortly. And then new this year is some flood mitigation projects in different parts of the city. This is something Public Works identified as a need. We have it on the list now. I want to start some conversations this year and help people get to know these projects. But the first three are really our top priorities, along with the ask for the urban farm. The next item, or sort of bucket of items on the agenda, is around economic recovery and revenue diversification. I'm not going to go through every item on this list, but a couple of highlights are around something we've talked a lot about in this committee already, what we're referring to as the CUB credit, or converting underutilized buildings. This would be a state tax credit that would help with adaptive reuse of vacant commercial spaces into new uses like residential, and hoping that can help with with some revitalization of downtown and other parts of the city. We also will really focus on an increase for LGA going into a budget year, wanting to make sure that we're advocating for more LGA dollars for the city and other resources to help reduce property tax burden on our residents. Going to the next slide, and happy to go back to things if there are questions on these, but I'm just going to highlight things on each slide. The next bucket of items is around affordable housing and homelessness prevention. The first item is around sustainable operational funding for emergency shelters, and this is really about what we've talked about in this committee and other places, this shelter fiscal cliff that we're facing during the pandemic. We've had a number of new shelters stood up, including Avivo Village and Homeward Bound. The county also moved to 24/7 shelter operations, so people don't have to leave during the day. And so really want to make sure that new model can continue. But there is this fiscal cliff. There's funding through the end of 2025, but need $13 million a year to be able to sustain these operations. So the city will be supporting the county in that effort. And again, that's for Avivo Village, Homeward Bound, 24/7 operations, and a few other items for the shelter system. And then we also continue to have things like renter protections on this list. And an item that Regulatory Services brought forward is disclosing investor ownership information for rental properties as public data. This is getting around trying to make sure when there are, we're not sure who's owning a rental property because it might be a investor ownership group or a national organization. We want to be able to have access to owner information so we can make sure we can enforce code violations and things like that. The next bucket of items is around climate action. This is really focused on zero waste initiatives and to help prepare for the future closure of the HERC. And so it's looking at funding and policy changes that can help get us towards zero waste. The next bucket of items is around community safety and public safety reform. The new items on here, a lot of this is the same as what we were talking about last year around recruitment and retention and bargaining units. But new this year is support to address juvenile crime and connecting juvenile offenders with needed services, which we know has been a challenge, making sure that when there are young folks who are in dangerous situations, making sure they have services they need to help get them out of those situations. And then another new item, and this was one we heard as a priority from some council members, was strategies and funding to help kind of target those who are contributing to the fentanyl crisis that's impacting our community. On transportation infrastructure, that's the next bucket of items. One thing I want to highlight here is state funding for complete streets. We heard that from many council members as a priority, and so that is added here. We also, as I mentioned on the bonding slide, we also put ADA infrastructure improvements in the transportation bucket. There was an account created in 2023 that is not funded currently, but there is an account that exists at MnDOT for ADA improvements. So I think there's a huge need there. We'd welcome the state support either in the account at MnDOT or through capital investment. So that's why we have that in both places. And then we also have a new item around local cost share participation. This relates to how much the city is asked to contribute for projects being led by the county. There's been a lot of change in revenue sources coming to the county around transportation and transit infrastructure. So we just want to make sure that what the city is expected to pay is fair based on the different sources of revenue we each have available to us. And then finally, our last bucket of items is around improving local governance. All of these are things we already had on the agenda last year, so I'll just touch on them briefly, but it's continuing to look at whether there are ways to address the city's significant ongoing obligations toward U.S. Bank Stadium, continuing to look at a repeal or change around the statute that governs the Municipal Building Commission. I know that's been raised as a council member priority as well. Another priority, I think, for many council members and the city has been updating the downtown taxing boundary, which did get a lot of traction last year, but just didn't quite get over the finish line. So we will look at that again. And then some updates to the way the NRP policy board works. So I'll just wrap up with some next steps, and then I'm happy to stand for questions if there are any. We do expect the November budget forecast sometime this week, and that's really going to obviously inform a lot of the conversation at the Capitol. It is a budget year, so the legislature needs to pass a biennial budget for fiscal years 26 and 27. So the forecast will tell them how much money they have to work with, either surplus or not. Session begins January 14th of 2025. The governor typically releases his budget in late January, and the regular session ends May 19th. And then, the biennial budget must be passed by June 30th since the fiscal year 2026 starts July 1st for the state. So with that, I'm happy to stand for questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Director Topinka. I'll ask my colleagues to get into queue if they have any questions related to the presentation. I put myself in queue first just to highlight a couple things. One, I think it's really tremendous that we were able to receive the federal funding for the Nicollet Avenue Bridge. That was a significant amount, I believe, from the office of Senator Amy Klobuchar and Senator Tina Smith. I know that we talked to our entire federal delegation about that. And then many council members brought up the importance of making sure that we secured the bonding funding for the East Phillips Urban Farm. So really proud to see that at the top of our priorities when it comes to our legislative agenda. And just thanks to all of the council members up here for meeting with our IGR team proactively so we can make sure that we had discussions about what this body wanted to see reflected as we head to the state capitol this next legislative session. And kind of think about a way to streamline this process of putting our legislative agenda together, and just thankful to Director Topinka and our entire IGR team for working on that. I'll also highlight that under economic recovery and revenue diversification, one of the things that we're asking for is support property tax refund for special assessments. I know that's been a topic of conversation within our Climate and Infrastructure Committee. And one of the questions that I did want to ask is related to the climate action section around development and funding for zero waste initiatives. I know that there's discussion about increased SCORE funding, clean community fee. I'm wondering, Director Topinka, if you could kind of go into detail around which zero waste initiatives we're really pushing for and what we're hearing at the legislature in terms of priorities for representatives and carrying bills related to that.
Yes, Chair Chowdhury, I'm just pulling up a couple of notes here on this item. Give me 1 second. I can't get through it. So yes, a couple of the things you mentioned are some of the items that we are starting to have conversations with legislators about, including the clean community fee, which would be a fee that we would be seeking authority to charge that fee for recycling education purposes. I think we're in kind of early stages and conversations on that. Increased SCORE funding has been on our agenda for a number of years, and making sure that there is more of that that can be used for the city. And then I apologize, I'm having trouble getting to the right page in the policy positions. But here we go. making sure that we protect and successfully implement the new extended producer responsibility legislation that was passed last year, which we think will help with waste reduction, and making sure that can be protected and stay in effect. And then also support for more composting to help get to zero waste. Those are some of the big things that we've been talking with folks about. I think the SCORE funding and the Clean Community Fee are two of the biggest items we'll be having conversations about during the session.
Great. Thank you so much, Director Topinka. And then the last thing I'll just quick highlight, we heard from almost every single meeting and briefing that we had with council members around finding ways to increase our revenue and our tax base. Increasing local government aid was something that was there across the board. And then some of the things that we've seen in terms of incentivizing the reuse of buildings downtown. So grateful to council members for bringing that up. And then, of course, addressing the housing crisis and stabilizing the assets that we have around services addressing homelessness. And I will now recognize Councilmember Wansley.
Thank you, Chair Chowdhury. Sorry, my computer is having a fritz right now. Oh my God, what is going on? Okay, I wanted to give some context to what is happening right now? I want to give some context to the amendments that I'm bringing forward to the 2025 legislative agenda as well, which are all on the back of.
Yes, Councilmember Wansley, is it okay if we go through discussion on questions on the presentation and then we'll go to the amendments?
Oh, okay, sure.
If it's related to the presentation.
All right, yep.
Okay.
Go for it.
I'll also recognize Councilmember Osman as president in the meeting. And then I'll go to Councilmember Rainville for questions related to the presentation.
Yes, thank you. Director Topinka, just very grateful that that downtown taxing district is back on the agenda. As our hospitality industry has grown, it's put certain venues and restaurants in less of a competitive advantage than others. So to even the playing field is great, and I appreciate that. I also want to let you know how much I appreciate paying some attention to the, I'm trying to think of the phrase here, local cost control, where the county is basically taking dollars from the city to fix county roads, and we cannot then fix city roads. And that's just been magnified. I had a great conversation with our public works, so I understand that completely. And that's something that has to be changed. There's no better example in our city than 13th Avenue Northeast, a street that's locally owned and was scheduled to be repaired 11 years ago and has not yet. So good luck with that one. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll call on Councilmember Koski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you so much for the presentation. I just had a quick clarifying under the Transportation and Infrastructure section, Director, the state funding to create complete streets. In the document that we received from the chair, it also went on to talk about traffic calming efforts, and I just want to, note that that is also a priority, excuse me, for many colleagues, and just want to make sure that it wasn't brought up when you spoke, but just want to make sure and clarify that that's part of the transportation infrastructure work that we're proposing.
Chair Chowdhury, Councilmember Koski, yes, that is part of it. The traffic calming is part of that request as well. In the agenda document, that is written out that way. I think I just shortened it for the slide, and that's why it wasn't there, but it is in the document.
Great, appreciate that clarity. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Seeing no more discussion on the presentation, we'll move to the document itself. Council members have prepared 6 amendments to the 2025 agenda and policy positions document, and a printed packet of those amendments has been distributed. There's 3 amendments in the front, 3 amendments in the back for my colleagues. And I think we're actually going to just go through these one by one, so each author has an opportunity to share what their amendments are. Councilmember Wansley, opportunity for you to go through all of them together, and same with you, Councilmember Chavez. We can take the first motion by Councilmember Chavez, and I'll call on him.
Thank you, Chair Chowdhury. My first motion is on page 12 under the section of data practices, amending language to remove the component that says consider state resources and changes to the Data Practices Act that create a balance between government transparency and the costs incurred by local governments when fulfilling vague or large data requests. I am bringing this forward in the name of transparency. I do not believe that we should charge residents fees or advocate charging residents fees for public data or data requests. I think we should strive to be a transparent government and not add guardrails to prevent people from accessing government. I would, however, support language that considers state resources to address the costs incurred by local governments when fulfilling these data requests, but not changes to the Data Practices Act that could impact transparency in our government. So I'll move this forward with for approval.
I'll second that and call on Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you. So I agree with you, Councilmember Chavez, and we had a chance to talk briefly. My concern is we're tying up a lot of our staff with these large data requests from national organizations, and I fully respect the right of an individual citizen to get that information. So I would like to work with you on some type of compromise language where we can protect our resources, our limited resources, to fulfill those requests. Thank you.
Next, I'll call on Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do want to speak against this amendment, but I'd be certainly open to some kind of compromise on the request. I feel that we need this in order to be a transparent government and to be responsive. I don't think we should be using more and more taxpayer dollars for some of these data requests that ultimately just get sold to corporations or are extremely obtuse. And we get a lot of data requests from the same handful of people. And I don't think that's fair to the people who, one, really are seeking important information for themselves or their loved ones, or seeking to, do journalism kinds of things with it. I really think we need to have this balance between government transparency and the costs incurred. And I think it is reasonable for people who are selling these data requests then to corporations to have to pay for the accumulation of it across the administration. So, thank you.
Thank you. I'll call on Councilmember Wansley.
Thank you, Chair Chowdhury. I actually brought forward a staff motion a couple months ago, actually asking the legislative branch to give us more data regarding our data request processes. So I'm actually surprised to hear this information on the days today about this practice of us apparently selling data to corporations. I've never heard about this before. And this staff motion actually asks for, again, an aggregate of, what are the top 5, data request topics. It asks for, quantifiable and qualitative data trends so that we can better know both on our end how we can better fund our legislative department to basically strengthen our data request processes and to help us figure out how we can better then advocate at the statewide level for resources and have the data we need to be able to make a concrete ask when we're speaking to state lawmakers. Ideally, we would have got that information back on November 18th, which was the deadline for that staff motion, but clearly it's December 3rd. So that won't be happening until first cycle of early next year. But it's very concerning to me that we have some colleagues who are advocating against more transparency, and the idea that we would be asking ordinary residents, from my understanding, when I look at the data request that comes through our inbox, I don't see corporations, LLC. I see residents requesting information. The idea that we would be charging them for basically asking for information that should be publicly available. So thank you first to Councilmember Chavez for bringing this forward. And I really hope that our clerk's department and legislative staff will do their due diligence to work with us to bring this information to the staff direction that we passed this fall to come forward first cycle of next year, so that we can finally have some concrete data to help us figure out how we can strengthen our data request processes a lot more better at a systemic level. So I just wanted to add that context.
Thank you. I'll call on Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, Chair Chowdhury. As I mentioned earlier, and I'll read it out loud for the public, this also talks about fulfilling vague or large data requests. The keyword talking about vague data requests, which does not have a definition. It could literally mean anything when it comes to being vague. I think the reality here is that data requests provides transparency to our residents. It gives them a look into the work that this body, the council, the mayor, our city enterprise does, and it oftentimes produces information of things that happen that shouldn't be happening sometimes. And I think it's important that residents, our constituents that we represent, have the ability to ask for data requests, to look at the work that we are doing without having to be charged. And I don't think we are in the business of asking the state legislature to change the Data Practices Act for us to be able to charge regular citizens of Minneapolis a fee for data requests. As I mentioned earlier, I am willing to find a happy medium here. That's a conversation I had with Councilmember Rainville before this meeting began. This is an email I sent to our Intergovernmental Relations Department that I said I would support language that considers state resources to address the costs incurred by local governments. I do, however, do not support language that talks about changing the Data Practices Act that can impact our transparency in the city enterprise. I think this is a fair request. I am going to continue moving this for approval. As I mentioned earlier, I reached out to the Intergovernmental Relations Department. I am more than happy to work with them ahead of Thursday's meeting to consider state resources, but not changing the Data Practices Act, because I don't think that's the job of the city of Minneapolis to add guardrails in terms of asking for regular information that residents should have access to. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Chavez. Yeah, I just put myself in queue really quick, seconding this motion. I think while we don't have like compromise language or additional information, there's a lot of pause that I certainly share in terms of how it might impact local organizations, residents, people who don't have a lot of money, time, and privilege to get this information that is publicly available, and the way that the language is written, it gives me pause. So I'll be supporting this amendment. I think it's prudent, if we can't, as a body, stand behind this, that we take up this action. I'll ask if there's any other further discussion on this item. Okay. Seeing no further discussion, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll on motion number 1.
Councilmember Payne.
Aye.
Wansley.
Aye.
Vito.
No.
Ellison.
Aye.
Osman.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Chigtai.
Aye.
Koski.
Aye.
Palmisano.
No.
Vice Chair Rainville.
Aye.
Chair Chowdhury.
Aye.
We have 9 ayes and 2 nays.
That motion carries. Next, we will go to motion number 2, and I'll again call on Councilmember Chavez. This is something that's authored by him and I to introduce the motion.
Thank you, Chair Chowdhury. Yes, me and you are co-authoring this motion, which is on page 16 under the section Funding for Affordable Housing and Homelessness Prevention. We are amending this to add language that says funding to address the fiscal cliff to stabilize existing homeless services. Chair Chowdhury and I thought it was important to add this to our legislative agenda to show and one, add the word fiscal cliff when it comes to existing homelessness services into our legislative agenda, because I think it's important that we work with our state legislature and show it in our legislative agenda that many of the existing homeless services that are in Minneapolis and in Hennepin County are facing a fiscal cliff that is going to impact unsheltered homelessness. So this is a pretty basic motion, but I just wanted to make sure that we brought this forward along with Chair Chowdhury.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Chavez. I put myself in queue just to add a little bit. My hope is that in the handout that we give to legislators, that they actually see the detailed language around fiscal cliff to stabilize existing homeless services. I think for us as a city of Minneapolis, alongside Hennepin County, we're really aware of this fiscal cliff that we're looking at. But even among our own delegation and then like the broader group of legislators that we're talking about, I think the kind of like, to lack of a better word, dire situation we're in if we don't get this funding, that urgency really needs to be showcased. And I think it's important to specify, we have these resources. Hennepin County and the city of Minneapolis is taking all steps to address the housing crisis, but we need your help to even just continue the services that we have right now. I know that we've had multiple discussions about the positive work that's happened with Avivo Village, and that's one of the items that is facing this fiscal cliff, along with 24/7 shelter resources. So just wanted to note that, and I will call on Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank you for this amendment, yourself and Councilmember Chavez. Avivo is the perfect example for something like this, and I like the language. It does show that we're all in this together, and we really cannot be doing all of the stabilization work ourselves as a municipality. We have a larger share of the region's homeless population right now, and we're going to need a lot of bigger solutions to solve it. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Palmisano. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on this one.
Councilmember Payne.
Aye.
Wansley.
Aye.
Vita.
Aye.
Ellison.
Aye.
Osman.
Aye.
Jenkins. Oh, excuse me, Jenkins is absent. Chavez.
Aye.
Chugtai.
Aye.
Koski.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Rainville.
Aye.
And Chowdhury.
Aye.
We have 11 ayes.
Wonderful. That motion carries. We'll go to motion number 3, and I'll once more call on Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, Chair Chowdhury, and this is my last motion, colleagues, that I am bringing forward with Chair Chowdhury. This motion is on page 16 under the section Funding for Affordable Housing and Homelessness Prevention, amending the language to remove, and I'll read it out loud for the public, repealing the statute that prohibits all cities from subjecting state licensed group assisted living facilities under Minnesota Statute 144G and Minnesota Statute 245D.02 with 6 or fewer residents from any city imposed life safety rental licensing requirements. This motion is meant to address concerns about this proposal in our legislative agenda that can impact people in the disability community. And colleagues, in 2022, the City of New Hope shut down 2 assisted facilities, forcing people with disabilities out of their own home. And during the last legislative session, this law passed as an effort to close a loophole with the support of disability justice advocates and housing providers to prevent backdoor tools to discriminate against Minnesotans with disabilities. I understand that there needs to be some form of oversights here to address some concerns, but I believe further conversations need to happen with the disability community, with advocates that push this legislation before we consider adding this to our legislative agenda. So basically removing this from the legislative agenda, because I believe that we need to have more conversations with folks that push this legislation and making sure that we aren't impacting folks with disabilities in our city, particularly in the state as well.
Thank you. I'll call on Councilmember Palmisano.
Did you want to speak first on this because you're a co-author?
Yeah, thank you. I put myself as a co-author mainly because I feel like I have some significant pause around repealing this language. I know within the city of Minneapolis, we have a very robust inspections team, and our goal in the city of Minneapolis is to ensure the protection of vulnerable peoples and make sure that they are living in high standard living communities, group homes, wherever they may be. However, there was some information, a letter that were reached out to by a representative of the association of these types of group homes that support people with disabilities, and they noted experiences like the one that Councilmember Chavez noted in New Hope, where without this legislation, the license itself was kind of weaponized against group homes or where communities with disabilities are. That displacement, I believe, of like 122 people in New Hope was really striking. And I think I kind of want to take a step back to have the opportunity to work with our intergovernmental relations team, who we've been in conversations with, our regulatory services department, and just think about like what is the right type of legislation for the city of Minneapolis and what we need for our city, while making sure that we're protecting those who are most vulnerable, and also getting an opportunity to engage more deeply with our disability community, the people at the center of this issue. And that's all I have to note. I will call on Councilmember Palmisano now.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want our city to be allowed into these facilities. I want our regulators, who I trust to do it best, better than the state, to be able to make sure that this is safe and dignified housing. There's a double negative here, so I also offer that maybe I don't have it completely right, and I would ask if our IGR staff could maybe come and clarify something for me, because I agree with everything Councilmember Chowdhury points out, but of course, while we all want to help Minnesotans with disabilities, we need to make sure this housing is dignified and safe, and having a prohibition on having our people that ensure that safety allowed into these facilities is a weird prohibition to me. So if I may ask our city staff a question about what it is we're trying to reconcile here, because I think the double negative at the beginning maybe just confuses me.
Yeah, welcome, Director Topinka.
Thank you, Chair Chowdhury. Councilmember Palmisano. So last year there was a statute change that passed that prohibits cities from licensing these types of facilities with 6 or fewer residents. So this language would be advocating to repeal that statute that passed last year. And basically, the goal would be to allow cities to have that licensing authority, again, to be able to do health and safety licensing related activities in these facilities.
So, Madam Chair, I guess what I'm saying is I'd like to be able to license these facilities, more of them, and it's purposely saying we want the state to prohibit that, to me seems off. So, thank you. That's all I have.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Palmisano. I will now recognize Councilmember Osman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I wanted to speak about this item and say, yes, there are bad actors out there. There are cities that their attitude is like, not in my backyard. Nothing to do with us living, nothing to do with low-income people, with poor people. And we show that. There's a email that I forwarded to you, Councilmember Palmisano, that shows a video of the new, I believe, Channel 5, that city of Hopkins, or New Hope, if I'm not mistaken, sorry, that ban this, and this is how people that advocate for assisted living got to finally the state and were able to pass this legislation. Now, City of Minneapolis reappealing and making sure we have our own inspectors going. Yes, it is maybe the right thing to do, but we actually setting up a bad way of having others act and make sure that they are having this assisted living shut down. We have seen that. So I'm looking at this bigger picture. I think we can definitely come back next year and figure out a way for City of Minneapolis to do their inspections. And still, the state doesn't limit us to do our inspections. If 311 are reported for any wrongdoing, anything like that, we can still go, I believe, and see if there's anything wrong going on in that assisted living. But looking at the bigger picture and thinking about what other cities shutting down, this will help stop that. This will give more options to the people that need the services the most. So I appreciate Councilmember Chavez and Chowdhury for bringing this forward, and I'll support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Osman. And I just kind of wanted to take an opportunity to maybe ask a question of our staff related to what you brought up. And this might be something we might need to take back to regulatory services. It's a question that Councilmember Osman brought up of like, when are inspections by the city allowable, under what circumstances? Should there be a 311 call or an emergency or a reason? Like, is there a pathway for this to happen, or is this an all-out prohibition from any type of inspections? I'll ask the director if you have an answer to that.
Chair Chowdhury, yes, I think I would want to consult with regulatory services to make sure the answer is completely accurate. I'm going to read some of the notes that I do have from them, though, on this issue. So what they have said is that this legislation took away the city's ability to license and conduct proactive inspections, so we can no longer remediate issues before they become systemic. And so we don't have a way to ensure that operators are complying with the local regulations, standards, and ordinances. And then the legislation also took away our ability to put provisions on rental licenses when properties are unsafe, and so takes away a tool to sort of enforce non-compliance with health and safety standards. To the question of whether, if there was a 311 call, could an inspector go out to one of these facilities, I'm not completely sure on the answer to that question, so I'd be happy to follow up with regulatory services and get an answer.
We'll ask for administrative follow-up before Thursday, and then we can continue the conversation there, but it's very helpful to hear about the proactive inspections part. I'll next call on Councilmember Koski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I represent all of you on the League of Minnesota Cities, and this was brought up there, and we, collectively, so cities across the state here have also amended and support the repealing of this statute. And we did have a good conversation around this. I do hear both sides. I do think that there is probably a happy medium in this case. I think that I can use an example of a home in Ward 11. My goal is to support that resident that's in this group home. But we have had multiple incidences that if we didn't have the ability to be proactive over the course of actually 6 years, I have documentation of if we weren't able to be proactive as a city, there could be serious consequences for this resident, and it's the safety of that resident that is top of mind for me. So I am having a hard time thinking about removing this from our legislative agenda, mostly because I do think there is, like I said, a happy medium here where we can continue this discussion. I would like to get the exact facts from our staff before Thursday, before I personally can move this forward and vote on it. Just because I do believe that taking this ability away from us as a city, as a first-class city, we have the resources. I understand that there are probably cities across the state that their resources aren't as abundant as ours, and I want to make sure that they do feel that they can protect their residents. But I believe in our staff and what we've been able to accomplish for our residents here, and don't want to be able to take that away. And from making sure that our residents that live in group homes or in our assisted living facilities feel safe too. So I'm not sure if there's a way to, what the motion would be to move this forward without recommendation, or what that would look like here from the clerk's office. But I don't I personally am just not ready without a little bit more information and just a better path forward of understanding of just taking this out versus can we have another conversation around what this could look like. So.
Thank you, Councilmember Koski. I'll next call on Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I like the direction this conversation seems to be going, and I'd like to offer that maybe we move this forward without recommendation and then consider offline. I can work with you before Thursday to consider maybe using the term modify instead of repeal, because we want to clearly modify this to make our cities most vulnerable safer, but maybe we don't want maybe to be more consistent with the League of Minnesota Cities and to put our effort forward in a coordinated way. Our language might be more about modify instead of repeal. So I just put that out there. I would be happy to work with anybody to bring that forward by Thursday if we could move this along, but without a recommendation. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, I'll call on Councilmember Chavez.
I think we have others on queue before me.
You're next on queue on my end.
Oh, I was.
Okay. It looks differently then for me. I'll call on you, Councilmember Osmond.
Thank you so much. The most concern I hear from my colleagues is the safety check and doing that. I think talking to the advocates of assisted living, the state still allow us to do safety check to make sure that that property is proper place for people to be living. If there's anything happening that allow us, it does not limit us. So I do actually want to hear from the staff, hopefully before Thursday to get some updates of, because we're not limited as I understand to do an inspection or to do a safety check. And so, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll call on Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, Chair Chaudhry. And I have maybe Director Topinka, if you can come up for a few questions. Can you explain to me how this was brought forward at the League of Minnesota Cities and if there was any change from just outright repealing to revising on this? Was there any changes to the language that the League of Minnesota Cities brought forward?
Chair Chaudhry and Councilmember Chavez, I would probably have to go back and look at some of the different drafts, but my recollection is there was a very robust discussion about this. So maybe I should back up and just explain for everyone's awareness what the process is. So the IGR staff participates in the League of Minnesota Cities policy committee process through the course of the summer. So cities can have representatives who participate in this process and weigh in on the policy positions that the league then brings forward, that the league board then approves to bring forward to the legislature. So our team participated in that process. In the policy committee that considered this item, there was a very robust discussion, and I don't remember the exact language, but I know there were some amendments made to it during the policy position process that then were changed when it got to the board. And so I don't remember the exact words. I do remember there being some discussion about repeal versus revise, but I'd have to go back and look at what the final language was and if that was added or came out at a certain point in the process. I just don't remember that detail at this point.
Okay, we'll ask for that for administrative follow-up too ahead of Thursday, is just the information regarding the League of Minnesota Cities discussion on this repeal of the legislation. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Councilmember Chavez?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously wrote the language because there are many concerns in the disability community. I could support moving forward without recommendation, but I think the concern here is that there are people being impacted by this and could be, specifically folks in the disability community, and I don't want us to forget that. So I'll support the motion to move forward without recommendation. I don't really see a need for that because the language is well written, in my opinion. And to be honest, the legislature could still work on addressing the concerns outlined by this body up here without having what we're doing here is just striking language that is literally harmful to folks with disabilities. That's what we're doing up here. So I do support like pushing this forward. And then if there are changes made by city staff at a request in a meeting, we can figure out that language before Thursday. But I do think it's important that we approve this today and then have a conversation before Thursday if meetings even happen, because those meetings need to be set up, and then change language based on those conversations.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Chavez. And I've also I'll share with the body that I've been informed that we can't forward an amendment without recommendation. It either needs to be incorporated to the legislative agenda or not. And so if the motion isn't successful today, or if it's withdrawn, the motion can be made again in council. But there's not a way to separate the amendment forward without recommendation. So I think the best thing to do is move it forward with recommendation. We can continue our work to Thursday. I will share with the body that I think with this one, there seems to be quite a lot of conversations that need to happen, not just with our own city staff, but also our city staff with the organizations that are reaching out, conversations with advocates within the disability community that are outside of the legislation and have some expert knowledge on it. And I'm unsure if we will be able to come up with language by Thursday, and that's just my own personal opinion. I'm happy to work with others and see what can be done by Thursday, but I just felt that was important to note. I will ask if there's any other discussion. I see Council Vice Chair Rainville, and I'll call on you.
Thank you. To Councilmember Osmond's point, I followed the New Hope cases too, and that the council there chose to use that law as punishment for behavior. So I would like to think that if that issue came before us, we would not have that same attitude. But I would like to just get good language to understand what the impact would be. So I'm not going to vote to move this forward. It looks like you probably have the votes, Councilmember Chavez, but we should really understand what we're voting for, because it's important to inspect these are very vulnerable citizens, and we should have the ability as a city to go in and make sure that their living conditions are good. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just quickly say thank you, Councilmember Osmond, for sending forward that letter. It's oddly addressed to Councilmember Cashman and not yourself, but I think that letter, the language in that letter does clearly explain both sides of this issue. So while I can't support it today, I will work hard to try and bring something that we all could perhaps agree on by Thursday. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, Councilmember Palmisano. I think out of this discussion is just like, with the current language as is, we don't necessarily have the full scope of understanding what are the impacts, negative or positive or otherwise, and then similarly other members feel that way about the strike through. I will ask the clerks to call the roll on this motion.
Councilmember Payne.
And to be clear, we're calling roll on the motion to send it forward with recommendation, correct?
With recommendation, yes.
Aye.
Wansley.
Aye.
Vita.
No.
Ellison.
Aye.
Osmond.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Chugtai.
Aye.
Kowski.
Aye.
Palmisano.
No.
Vice Chair Rainville.
No.
Chair Chowdhury.
Aye.
We have 8 ayes and 3 nays.
That motion carries. We'll next take up motion number 4, and I will recognize that motion's author, Councilmember Wansley.
Thank you, Chair Chowdhury. So this first one is regarding housing and the major increases we are seeing in evictions. And this amendment specifically supports the state's ongoing anti-displacement efforts that has already resulted in the passage of several wrongful eviction protection laws in 2023. And just cause renter protection laws are an important policy tool to prevent displacement in essentially promote housing stability overall. It both protects renters from acts of retaliation that can also lead to displacement, as well as protects them from discriminatory or arbitrary terminations. And our state lawmakers have worked with a broad coalition to, again, lead a lot of this legislative work that has yielded some fruitful legislation. So this amendment just essentially says, keep doing that, and let's keep identifying gaps where we're seeing more legislative solutions needed. So with that, I will move this motion for approval.
Second. I'll ask my colleagues if there is any discussion or questions. Okay, seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Payne.
Aye.
Wansley.
Aye.
Vita.
Aye.
Allison.
Aye.
Osman.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Chuktai.
Aye.
Koski.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Vice Chair Ringvall.
Aye.
Chair Chowdhury.
Aye.
We have 11 ayes.
That motion carries. Next, we'll go to motion number 5, and I will recognize that motion's author, Councilmember Wansley.
Thank you again, Chair Chowdhury. So my second amendment supports legislation that would mandate an end to all subminimum wages, including forced labor in correctional institutions, by reclassifying prisoners as workers with a right to employment. Many criminal justice advocacy organizations will be at the Capitol this session working with the authors of this legislation, which includes House Reps Cedric Frazier and Senator Claire Verbatim, to support and advance a bill called the Bill to End Slavery. This fall, the Urban and Outreach Engagement Center, also known as UROC, hosted a forum on this particular bill where they shared with the public that paying people who are currently in prison slave wages currently steals about $100 million a year from the poorest communities in Minnesota, including from their families, their children, and victims via child support and restitution. As of now, prisoners are forced to work jobs for about 25 cents an hour, meaning they're coming home without skills or savings. And this practice exacerbates systemic issues and increases recidivism. And there's significant data out there that demonstrates that if we really want to end the revolving door to the criminal justice system, then there needs to be an end to some minimum wages for prisoners. So with that, I will also move this item for approval.
And I will second that item. I'll ask colleagues if there is any discussion. Great. I'll call on Councilmember Palmisano, and then I put myself in queue, but I can go after you.
Sure. Madam Chair, I'm just curious, what is the wage level that we're talking about here? Do we know?
I'll ask Councilmember Wansley if she knows, but I don't know that off the top of my head.
Are you asking for the average wage level that a prisoner is being paid as of now?
Yes.
I believe it is around somewhere less than 25 cents an hour.
I have a hard time believing that to be true, but I'll take that for what it is. I receive a restitution.
It's very real. It is very real. And that's why there's various groups that are bringing this bill and why they're framing it around enslavement.
So I am not comfortable voting on this today. I'll be voting against it. I would like a lot more information in front of me before I would weigh in on any such thing. I also know there's a finite amount of money that gets appropriated for this. So if it means less people can work, then that is also problematic. But I'm just not ready to take this up if, in fact, the average wage per hour is 25 cents, which I'll take Councilmember Wansley at her word that it is.
Chair Chowdhury, yes, yeah. I would love to respond. As of now, also colleagues, and I will say it is very concerning in the age of 2024 for any colleagues to have any concerns with supporting a legislative amendment that is tackling
any practices that is still continuing slavery in any systemic form in the age of 2024. That's very concerning. But nevertheless, there is a website where you could get additional information if that is going to help you get to a place where you could support something that says, let's eliminate a form of slavery in our state. And that website is called enslaverymn.org. And that could give you more concrete information. But it does say right now on the very first page that as of now, those jobs do average around 25 cents per hour.
Thank you, Councilmember Wansley, and I'll call on Councilmember Ellison next.
I'll keep it short. I just wanted to affirm that the upper wages, the highest wages are around $2, and they can be as low as 14 cents. And so I just wanted to give that context as well, because I just think it should add to the conversation. And I think that, ending subminimum wage in prisons would probably be one of the most impactful things we could do as a state. And so I certainly support this and just wanted to voice that. And just, I guess I'll just leave it there. But yeah, there's not just a conversation about what the prisoners deserve when they are being forced to work and the amount that they deserve, but there's another conversation about how it incentivizes us and private prisons and states all across the U.S. to keep prisons full when the wages and when the labor can be this cheap. And so I think that there's just like a lot of reasons for us to be supporting this and to be fighting for prisoners to, if they're going to be forced to work, and the whole other conversation, but that if they're going to be forced to work, that they shouldn't also then have to accept 25 cents an hour to do that work. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Ellison. I'll call on Council President Payne.
Thank you, Chair Chaudhry. Actually, Councilmember Ellison actually raised the issue that I wanted to speak to, but I actually just want to put a finer point on it because, yes, it's not just about the wages earned while incarcerated. It's about the incentive to continue to incarcerate people for the sake of having a workforce at these very competitive wages, aka slavery, and I just want to connect that to what it means to pass laws and what it means to enforce laws, more specifically, right? So on any given day, there are, even just in the city of Minneapolis, probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of laws that are getting broken. And we don't have the capacity to enforce every law to its fullest that's on the books. And so it takes every single government, every single police department, every single enforcement agency to prioritize which laws to enforce, prioritize which laws to prosecute, and the unintended or actually intended consequence is a selective enforcement, oftentimes targeted at Black, brown, marginalized folks who now become that low-wage, slave-wage workforce. And so this is not just about the fairness of folks in jail who are getting forced to work. It's not just about, making sure that we're lowering recidivism, which is a very practical and considered goal. It's about eliminating this entire incentive to continue creating an ecosystem that keeps people at slave wages by selective enforcement of oftentimes arbitrary laws.
Thank you, Councilmember Payne. I had myself in queue. I just wanted to share my support for this amendment. Thank you so much, Councilmember Wansley, for bringing this forward. I think it's really great that we're putting this on our legislative agenda or taking up the vote to do so. We're a part of a national conversation about ending slavery, a form of slavery in the United States. And I may not have known the figure exactly today for the state of Minnesota, but I did know that prisoners are getting paid few cents every hour for their work. And I did know that large corporations, many of which that we know of, whether it's Boeing Airplane, Victoria's Secret, Walmart, benefit from this very, very cheap forced labor and are incentivized to do that so they can make sure that their bottom line is larger and they don't have to pay laborers a fair wage and ensure that they're workers. And so it's a very insidious incentive that currently exists, and it is remarkable that this is an issue that persists in 2024. And I'm just grateful that our state legislature is also going to be taking up the mantle on this issue in concert with many other state legislatures having this conversation. I see Councilmember Palmisano in queue, so I will recognize Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for this discussion. I do think that there's a broader initiative to be had here. I will say that in my own experience, getting a restitution check from an individual that victimized me and 200 other people, he would have needed to work 22 hours a day for the time that he was incarcerated to give me my percentage of that check, which was for a little over $10. So that's why I'd like to be able to do more research on it. But I'll kind of argue against my own point, and to add context to this conversation, I think that restitution is important for victims of crime, less so me than others who have outstanding things like medical bills and people who have been harmed. And maybe one of the impacts of providing minimum wage to those incarcerated would be for them to pay those that they have harmed back a greater share of what is owed by those victims. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion, colleagues? Okay, seeing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Payne.
Aye.
Wansley.
Aye.
Vita.
Aye.
Ellison.
Aye.
Osmond.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Chigtai.
Aye.
Koski.
Aye.
Palmisano.
No.
Vice Chair Rainville.
Aye.
Chair Chowdhury.
Aye.
We have 10 ayes and 1 nay.
That motion carries, and then I will recognize Councilmember Wansley once more for our final motion.
Thank you, Chair Chowdhury. So item number 6 advocates for the establishment of an Office for Violence Prevention. We've had lots of conversations with the Office of Community Safety and our partners at the county who are leading their violence prevention efforts and their comprehensive public safety initiatives through their department, Safer Communities, around the need to better coordinate our regional strategies around a comprehensive public safety initiative and effort, and how that needs to come under one umbrella, and what better way than to centralize that through a state department. And I've had a number of conversations with Representative Cedric Frazier, who's also been a lead champion on unarmed safety initiative work and violence prevention efforts that's been funded at the state level, who's been part of national conversations around this, where there is appetite and interest at the state level to actually create an Office of Violence Prevention, to be able to create that multi-jurisdictional coordination and collaboration that I've heard many of my colleagues on this dais name they want to see happen and be advanced. So I'm really excited that, our state lawmakers are looking to bring that forward this legislative session. And basically this amendment says we support that, and we're here to work in conjunction with you all to do wherever is necessary to make that a reality. And with that, I will move it for approval.
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Wansley. I'll ask members if there is any discussion on this motion. Wonderful. Seeing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Payne.
Aye.
Wansley.
Aye.
Vita.
Aye.
Ellison.
Aye.
Osmond.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Chigtai.
Aye.
Koski.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rainville.
Aye.
Chair Chowdhury.
Aye.
We have 11 ayes.
That motion carries. And before I close this out, I just want to give gratitude to everyone.
Madam Chair.
Oh. Yes, clerk.
We still have the underlying motion for the 2025 policy positions document itself to approve, now that we've gone through all the amendments.
Thank you, clerk. Okay. Well, I will move that for approval. And I'll ask the clerk, actually, I'll move that for approval as amended. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Payne.
Aye.
Wansley.
Aye.
Vital.
Aye.
Allison.
Aye.
Osman.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Chugtai.
Aye.
Koski.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rainville.
Aye.
Chair Chowdhury.
Aye.
We have 11 ayes.
That motion carries. Before I close this out, just wanted to express gratitude to everyone for participating in the Intergovernmental Relations Committee. This is our last IGR meeting for the year. Immense amount of gratitude to Director Topinka and the entire IGR team. Thank you just so much for getting us prepared for this upcoming legislative session and then working with us through the last one. We're looking forward to the new year. And with that, we've concluded all business to come before the committee today, and without objection, we are adjourned.